Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Yesterday doesn't matter, it only serves as a ladder. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed, so make your plans accordingly. Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Grand Rising. Today is a new day to start again. It is 9/8/2025. I know, it's been a long time. I'm just going to start with reading my script because I don't want to get off track. I have tried to do this a few times in between the last time I did my video, but I really have struggled to find my voice to do it because I've had a lot of things going on. So I'm going to, like I said, stay to my script. I cried this morning more than I have in a really long time, but it was a good cry. It felt very spiritual. I'm a very lonely guy. I'm a 50-year-old man. I'm a divorced dad. I've had a life change that has resulted in me geographically being isolated by myself, away from my family. And so it's difficult, and it was self-induced. So the struggle is trying to, I like doing these videos, or I did like doing these videos because it was, for me, like giving me a purpose. At least I was trying to show how you might persevere through something like this. Because there are other people that have had to go through what I'm going through and try to find your way out. So I guess what I was going with this is, I could cry all the time if I wanted to. Like, I could cry and I'd just start thinking about a few things. It wouldn't take much for me to have to start crying in public. So, and I have a couple times actually, but I'm not a crybaby. This isn't a crying video. I just am trying to explain that I hold it in almost all the time. And so this morning when I woke up, I started to get into it and I started to cry, and it felt really good actually, because it's natural. You should, whenever you're going through very difficult times and you're in the circumstances that are difficult, it's sad and you're going to be wanting to cry. So, but you can't cry all the time. You can't be out in public walking around. So you have to be able to operate. And so I think what I'm trying to go is that it is a spiritual thing and it's natural, and we should use it more probably in finding ways to allow it to release, because it's probably very healthy. And that's what happened this morning. So that's what prompted me to do the video. I was like, well, I mean, sometimes we try to hide this crying thing, but if your body wants to do it, I'd say let it go. And and I think there's nothing wrong with that. You should let it. You only get to do it every once in a while. Most of the time, you're too strong to allow your body to get emotional enough to. Just sometimes crying catches you, and it's just a very strange thing, honestly. And the tears, what comes out whenever you are crying, is kind of interesting as well. But that's where I was getting into that. So I didn't start the morning off to cry. So it wasn't me that made me cry. I didn't wake up this morning and say, I need a good cry. So who is I? Who is it that made me cry? And then I got into the me, myself, and I. I think me, so in the me, myself, and I think me is David Clark. It's the name I've been given and the air I breathe. It's not my biology. It's my mask that I'm wearing, because my parents gave me my name. They gave me biology too, so they have two big stakes in it. But I would say your name isn't just everything too, though. It's what you've presented to the world, and that's who you are to the world. What you've done, what everybody remembers that you've done, regardless of what you think you are, biology, all that other stuff. You might think you're in shape, but you're actually not in shape. All kinds of delusions that we can have. But that's what I think me is. So when you say me, myself, and I, because I do think there's three. I'm a little bit wacky. That's what I think the Trinity is, and I tie it all to blood, breath, and oil, and I could get all into that, but I'm going to try to stay on my video here because I haven't done one in a while. So I'm going to stay with me, myself, and I. Everything runs in threes. I think me is David. I think that's who I mask, who I've become just from my deeds, like I said, and my name, who the world sees. And that's also what I would say is me is the air I breathe, because that's part of it all as well. Because it's the right now. I am David because I am who I've been up till this point, and as I'm breathing, it's the same air that everybody else is breathing. I equate that all to be the same kind of field. And then there is myself, and myself is who I am trying to be. Like, and I think that that's more into your mom and your dad's biology that they've given you. And this is where I get a little different too. I don't think it's just about what's passed through your blood. I think it's also what's passed through the oil in your body, which is coming from and I'll get into that in a second because it gets a little wacky. But so me is the mask basically that I'm wearing in the world, or that I have, that everybody sees. And then myself is who I want to be. That's who I want that to be to everyone else. And that's more your biology. You can't change really that. This is who I am, is the blood. And that's who that's who your self is that. And so that's more your mom and your dad, because that's carried through your blood, your mom and your dad, and what you want to do for them. But then there's also the I, and that's what I was getting into. And that's different. And the I is not through the blood, it's through the light, in my opinion. That's literally why it's called I, and it's what we see. Comes from the light. So who is my? So we got me, myself, and I. So me is David, the furniture salesman that's a deadbeat dad. That's who I've done through my life. It's not funny, but. And then there is myself, the blood of my mom and my dad, and who I want to be, and who I don't like the fact that that's who I am, that everyone sees, so I want to change that. That's what I think I have change over. And that comes from your blood. And then there's the I. And I think that this is where I want to just read what I say. Who is my I, or I? What is I see the light? It comes from the come of my father into my mother's womb, the light of conception. They say that there's light whenever the egg, and whenever it I guess germinates. Is that what you're supposed to call it? So what I think is, we have all of this stuff, and I think that's carried in our bones. I think that's literally what is formed in your spinal cord, is when you're born, at that moment. And I don't think that's connected to your blood. And I think that that's where we get a little bit off, in my opinion. So, and it's actually not even connected to your mother and your father, so to speak. It's more connected to the exact time and moment, because it was it was randomly chosen to be when it is. And that's who you are from that moment. That's when you become. But that's not your blood, and that's not your breath. That is what's formed whenever those two things meet, which is an oil of your sperm, and an egg, which is also sperm, or like not a sperm, but it's the same lymphatic system, which is all connected to oil. And that, I think, has a more of that into crystals is what I do with that. And then to me, that is more in line with what happens with our cosmos, in my opinion, because I think that there's a huge connection between what goes down in mineral form down here, and I guess you could say maybe crystal is mineral. What goes on in mineral form down here in these crystallines, and what goes on up there, and like there's a correlation between that. So I think that that's what I is, and that's what we so that is like the vessel of our that is what is the antenna, maybe, that we get the reception from. So that's very important, what oils we're taking into our body. Also the foods that we ingest, that's where that all goes. So you can fast and do things like that that actually help you to align from all this. I also did recently do a week 3-day water fast. I know it's not anything too special for you, all you people that are truthers, but I'm gonna try it again. I'm gonna start doing it more and make it a practice. But I think that what I was saying in that crystalline thing that happens in the moment of your inception or conception, I think that is inherited. Like that is what's carried in your bones, and that's where we think what our traits and all that stuff is inherited through, and some of it is through the blood, because it's just that's how evolution works. But through inherited through the consciousnesses, I think it's more through the crystalline of it, and that's what I've been trying to really focus on. So that doesn't change. That is what it is. So if you're looking for your purpose, that seems to me to be where you would want to look, is the time and place and all of that, which is what and then try to find as much wisdom you can in that. So that's where I get wacky. So the eye is light, but then to put a line underneath all that and try to stay on course here. So what if you're blind? What if you can't even see light? And then I went into who is you. You is what you hear from your ear. And now I'm just like exhausted with the whole thing. I know it's trippy and probably doesn't make any sense to anybody whenever I go through one of those things, but that's what I was writing this morning, so I wanted to try to commit to it. So what I was doing with these videos, if you've never watched these before, this is Today is a New Day to Start Again. I was trying to do a thing where I was trying to be uplifting and do like a 7-minute video every day, and just do like, I was focusing on the Tao Te Ching when I first started doing it, which is an ancient writing by Lao Tzu, that I really started to center on when I got into trying to find my purpose. My life completely fell apart, and I had to find a way to find purpose. And so that's what I did, was I went through the Tao Te Ching. And then, so what I've been trying to do is show how to move forward with life, doing the best you can. So I haven't done a video in a while because I've been really trying to center, and I don't want to be tearful and crying on camera and I'm not looking for sympathy or empathy. I'm a divorced dad, and I have 4 daughters that live in another state, and I miss them all the time. And I guess why I cried this morning was, like I said, I could do that all the time. If I wanted to, I could get myself to cry pretty much all the time. They're really special girls. But you can't do that. You can't just walk around crying. So, letting out a big cry earlier was really helpful. I wanted to finish this video out. So, get it together. We all have a destiny. Every soul, every life has a purpose. The purpose of the intent of the life. Like in the end, how did your life evolve? Who did you live for? Who do you live for? If not the ones that created you. So that brings you back to your mom and your dad. But who created them? I'm just going to move on like it didn't happen. Who gives you life now? The sun, right? If you just look outside it's pretty evident that we need the sun. It comes every day. Without the sun, I would not be right now. I wouldn't be able to talk to you, and you wouldn't be able to listen to what I'm saying, regardless of what you believe the sun is. It seems evident we couldn't live without the sun and the air, obviously the water, and food. We need food, right? So wouldn't our purpose be to live without hurting other things and just foster the abundance of life in peaceful harmony? Why do we need to kill? Isn't there other ways to eat? Even the people that are just totally red meat, blood on it, that say we have to have meat. You can't have it without meat. You can't live without meat. That, I don't think that's true in this scientific age. I think you can totally live without killing. I might be wrong in that, but I'm pretty sure you can. So what if, like, starting right now, let's just say today is a new day to start again, new day to start, has the authority to be, and I just come out as God. And we're just going to say, from this point on, I'm going to use all of my power, and I am now God. And I can put my face out in front of everybody, just everywhere that everybody can see me all at the same time. And I just say, hey, stop. Everybody stop. Listen, from here on in, here's what we're going to do. I'm here. I promise. I'm talking to every one of you all at once. Listen, I'm God. Actually, I'm the rule setter. I just sit back most of the time because I let you guys all do what you want to do. But every once in a while, I feel like I got to intervene. And here's what we're going to do. From now on, no one try to kill anything on purpose ever again. No more killing ever again. I mean, if it happens, it happens, but we can continue doing what we're doing. Our intent moving forward, rule number one, number one commandment, thou shalt not kill. Don't kill nothing. Just try to survive, but don't kill anything. Okay. We don't have to eat meat. We don't have to. There's another big part of this, though. If we're going to go around no one killing nothing, you can't go having 12 babies. You get one or maybe two, but you can't have, we don't need 9 of you anyways. You need 1 or 2. That's it. That's what you get. And we got to have that. That's going to have to be like a social rule here because nobody's going to be allowed to kill anybody. So listen, this is how we're going to do it. And it sounds pretty peaceful. I think we can make it work. That's the 2 rules. Love thy neighbor. I think there's some more. Oh man, I got a mess going on. I'll be right back. I was crying. Dang it, I fell off my point there. So what I'm trying to say, still being God, is let's just not kill. Let's live in peace and harmony. Do I have the rest? But the rest of this, I think we're done. Hopefully. 3, 6. Oh, here we go. We got more. I lost a dramatic part to that. Did I go on? I think we need to move on because I'm definitely not God, right? Shouldn't even act like that. It would be helpful, though, get a big bullhorn out and just say, hey, but let's get connected here. I think that does exist, but you have to get there a lot different way. Here's what we're going to do. Oh, that's the same thing. Oh, there's another one. This is a big part of that, though. I lost the second part. You can't have sex either after that. Because sex is something that really messes things up, in my opinion. And I want to try to get into this because I think it's really important. Sex is not love. It's like, I think the most important thing I've learned from all of this they're not even in the same. It's just because that breathing and sex isn't the same thing either. I mean, they're completely different things. They're not even really connected, and that's where we're wrong. That's where we've been led wrong, and it's so important, I think, for me to center on that, because love is something so much more complex than sex is. And part of what's happened with our society is the merging of those two things. And that's helped me, I think, in the end of all this, because I don't have a lot of sex. That is how I want to find this one. I think this is how I want to end it too. That love is really what I've found. Love yourself. Like, you have to love yourself and then understand what love is. And love is balance. I think love truly is, I kind of muffled at the end there, but love truly is the way. I think it's what it's not in the reason why it's also not heart shaped. It's not like all that. They've just completely destroyed it. Love is like the really good stuff of life when you are doing your purpose, when it feels like things are right. That's what love is. And you're trying to get that balance. And what I say it is, for me, the best way for me to, because I really identify with earthly things, this blood, this stuff that's connected to both mom and dad, the red and the blue, is really a dynamic that we live in. And that is mother. They're both mother, is what I would say. Father is a whole different thing. It's light. It's what we put a lot of these disciplines of logic is father. And they're two different things, but if you can find a way to balance the two, because if you weigh too heavy in one or the other, that's what tends to cause disruption, in my opinion. And it's what we would call good and evil. So basically, I did have an end to this. I think love is the way. Woo-wee. It's the path of Jesus. It is the balance between Mother Earth and the Father of Light. The air we breathe together is kind of the consciousness of it. I cried all over. It was a bad end of the video. I was trying to keep that thing going without, it's all been gibberish. But at least I got a video out for people that have been wondering about me. That's why I haven't been doing videos. I don't think I could make it through it without crying. It's hard for me because I'm not in where I don't feel like I'm moving towards, but I am. It's just a really slow process. And I don't know it's necessary to show other people that, I think just popping in and out now might be the best way for me to do it. But maybe I start doing the videos again, and maybe I change the format of them. I think the most important thing for me to do is to say my song again and do my best going forward. Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Yesterday doesn't matter, it only serves as a ladder. Tomorrow isn't guaranteed, so make your plans accordingly. Today is a new day to start again. Take each moment one by one and do the best you can. Do your best, be your best.